Yeah.
Say that, Nick, that's not even read, like,
It was one of those days when we do. I was actually.
Yeah.
So.
I actually
said it,
I was like, but I spent 7 hours. Yeah. So I think there was an accident off the ranch there. Because I saw it on my ways, it was like red. And so. Yeah, so I saw it. Yeah. Right.
yeah, I'm just like, say.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was.
Mom would just like to get to a little he had absolutely no boundaries. Very accomplished.
I'm so.
Oh, pretty good. Now everybody gets that. Okay, show on spread the road.
Oh, good. Okay, it is March 18th, 2024, 6:45, excuse me, 5:45 PM. And we're gonna call this finance committee meeting to order. First thing is those members present are Lang, Chute, Cost, Hauser, and Marmy. First item is to inform everybody that the unappropriated balance is at $722,915. And the balance of the budget stabilization fund is $1,619,238. First item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $4,260.79.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request for overpayment of medical claims, EMS billing to Molina Healthcare. And I can give you a little bit of background on this if you like. Back in November of 22, Molina reached out to us and said that they had conducted an audit of EMS billing from April 4th of 2018 through December 15th, 2021. And as a result of that audit, they determined that we owed them $73,530 in overpayment. So we pushed back on that, asked for an appeal. They came back in October 2023 and lowered their demand to $20,130. So we pushed back more. And then in February 22nd of this year, they dropped their demand to $4,260. After talking with the law director's office and with our medical billing provider, we think that that's a fair settlement, especially starting from $74,000.
Offer motion. Second. Motion by Lang, second by Hauser. Any questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on the full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Greg. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation, in the amount of $182,647.15.
This request pertains to the city's market development grant for Star Wipers, who is a local employer. The project will be purchasing equipment so that they will reduce the amount of material going to landfill.
Offer motion.
Second.
Motion by Lang, second by Hauser. Questions and or discussion?
I'll just comment real quick. Thank you so much for your work on that. I know the owners are very excited to be able to implement those funds, so I appreciate it. Thanks.
Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send this on the full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation, in the amount of $4,350.
Good evening. I'm here this evening to ask for the $4,350. We would like to replace our current probation case management system with a new one. So we currently use a company called Civica CMI. We would like to change to a system called OCSS, which is a step mobile product. So 74 different community correction entities across the state of Ohio has went to OCSS. It's highly endorsed by Director Chris Scally from the Bureau of Community Sanctions. I'm only bringing this today with this. Chris Scally's been trying to get us to convert to this for years, but I've always told him I'm not going to come to the city and ask for a $30,000 conversion fee. He has said that he will give us 85% of the conversion fee. So the conversion fee is $29,000. It's the first time he's ever done that. It'd be a one-time payment in a grant. It won't be additional grant. It won't be money that we already have in the grant. It'll be in addition to the grant. He said if we can get this pushed through by May 1st, we would have the money in our account by May 1st, which would then we could then get the Step Mobile to come in. I think it's a 90-day process for the entire conversion to happen, but we're super excited about it. Cliff Brandon's here from the court's IT department. We had a conference call with the chief operating officer from Step Mobile, and we were quite impressed with what this can do. The main benefit to this is it's cloud-based, where now if we want to get on the court's probation software system, we have to use a VPN and we have to have a port device. We can't do a VPN from our phone. Now we can access the probation software system with our cell phones, which would be tremendous for field work and being away from your desk or not having access to a laptop, things like that. So Cliff and I are here to answer any questions that you may have about it.
I'll offer motion.
Second.
Motion by Lang, second by Cost.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just curious, the difference in, so once we do the implementation, is there a savings between the Civica CMI upkeep and the OCSS?
Yes, thanks for asking that. It's going to be a reduction in maintenance fee costs. We can actually combine some of the other services that we have. So we have a text messaging service that we pay separate for, and we have a kiosk service that we pay separate for. This new system incorporates both of those in the systems. So we'll eliminate those costs. And we did a comparison for 2025, and it'll be about $200 or $300 less. But as I told Doug and I had a meeting about this a week or so ago, we can actually add the maintenance fee into our grant. So the next grant cycle in fiscal year 26 and 27, we'll add the maintenance fee into the grant, so the city won't even have a cost anymore for this. And I'll have to look at current grant funds now. We could do a budget revision to pay for the maintenance fee in 25. I'll just have to look at the figures. But yes, the city won't even have a cost for this in the future.
Thanks.
Any further questions and or discussion? Sure.
Just curious, I'm sure you guys have looked at kind of the security of it. I'm assuming if you're accessing it from your phone, then there's an additional authentication or access you have to, you know, to get into the court system from a mobile device like that.
That's my understanding that, there is additional authentication for it, and, the way this software is hosted is on, a state server. That's the same thing that hosts leads and other police agencies, so it's very secure. I mean, it's treated as the same as the 24/7 operation, just the same as leads, in any other state hosted, you know, secure, not security, police applications that they would have.
Yeah, my only reason was asking is I was curious if we would need to push out any additional security measures to the phones that are, you know, accessing that system. Like, I know for my own company, to get on my email system, I have to have, you know, passwords and things on my device. So I'm just curious if there's anything like that that is required.
I'm not sure I can answer that. I don't know if they use RSA securities, but they do have to adhere to, the state's. I mean, this company is certified through the state to have access to their servers.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just kind of piggyback on that a little bit. I mean, for our own security and making sure, we should make sure that, first of all, they're gonna have to maintain any updates or things like that, because usually any authenticator app or anything like that, that is a requirement. It requires constant updates of, you can't get behind on your updates.
Right.
So, and I think that, you know, we should make sure that we maintain at least tracking of who's using personal devices. If they are, there needs to be some kind of, making sure and aware of it, because the security of that phone is definitely something. I know that, you know, my company the same way. As soon as I say that I'm putting anything from my company onto my phone, or actually just accessing it, then I have to go to a 6-digit passcode. It automatically times out after a certain amount of time. I don't have any choice in the matter. And so they control that as far as being able to even access it.
Yeah, OCSS would control all that access through the state, and then, like I said, like you were talking about with our current email system, a lot of the probation officers already have that. And our email system will allow me or Alpha Link or someone to completely wipe someone's phone remotely.
Okay.
And, you know, obviously security is something that Kevin and I talked about a lot about, and that's why we were using the VPN to access anything, and anything that was, the VPN was installed as only court equipment. We don't allow personal equipment. Now with this being installed on people's cell phone, the state will have control over that. And it does log who logs in and when. And I believe that they probably follow the same standards as leads, so everyone's fingerprinted and things like that.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes.
Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on the full council, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Very much. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $8,035 for machinery and equipment, purchase of a truck for the cemetery.
No, I do not need that appropriation, and I don't have a truck to purchase right now for this.
Okay. That'll just die from lack of motion.
Yeah.
We good with that? All right. Next, the same with the other one, the next one, the $8,035. One was a disappropriation, the other was an appropriation.
Right, I'm gonna do a total disappropriation. I'd like to do the disappropriations.
Okay, so we will do the disappropriation in the amount of $8,035.
Motion.
Second.
No.
Motion by Lang, second by Hauser. So this is moving it out of,
Jackie has that as an operating transfer.
the operating
And
transfer,
that's the top side.
Right.
We need it, you know,
okay,
just to put in his budget, I think, to buy the line term.
Yeah, well, there's an old PO here from 22, so it was made out of a couple different funding sources that we're gonna use to buy a truck, right? And we didn't get the truck, so I don't wanna reappropriate any of it, quite frankly, I just disappropriate the old PO. It's a little confusing. I tried to give it Jackie earlier today, she wasn't in, I think she's off this week.
so this 8,035 looks like it's just for machinery, machinery and equipment, not actually for a truck.
Well, that was to supplement when it was gonna be reappropriated.
Okay,
That was going to supplement the purchase of the truck, yes.
okay, so we just need to put it back, okay, with the disappropriation. Very
Just a
good.
quick clarification, where are the funds returning to then, I guess? So make sure I understood that right.
Just going back into capital improvements.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, instead of, right now, it's currently tied to a PO.
Right.
As an appropriation, so we just need to move it back. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? And or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. So you do not need the appropriation.
That's correct.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $1,000.
I think this is the grant for signage.
Yes, it is.
It's a PEP grant to purchase some safety signage.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Lang, second by Hauser. Questions and or discussion? Where's this grant coming from?
Doug, I'll have to get back with you.
Oh, I can tell you what that is. That's through, the workers' comp, the insurance, they offer a program every year
Okay.
for $1,000, and it usually goes to Buster. Well, the money came in, but Dave's doing the appropriation.
Gotcha.
Thanks.
Very good, thank you.
Quick question.
Mhm.
Is that just for like workplace signage for informational purposes?
Well, no, it's traffic.
Oh, traffic sign.
There, you can do a lot of things with the PEP grant, but we give it to Buster every year, and he typically does pick some type of signage,
Gotcha.
traffic signage.
Great.
Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on the full council, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $58,761.05.
Thank you. The state of Ohio requires mandatory training for the police department, continuing professional training, what they call it. At the completion of that year, then the state reimburses the PD for the number of people who attended the training. So this is that money that we received from the state for that training. So we'd like to appropriate it back into our training funds so we can use it for this year's training.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Lang, second by Hauser. Questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on the full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Director. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $57,000.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a memo expense for the UV upgrade, the water treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant. What we're doing is we're taking, the change orders to move the money from the OWDA loan to the UV project. It's just a memo expense, so it'll be, reimbursed through the OWDA loan. And that's where we get 90% of our money from the board.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Lang, second by Hauser. Questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on the full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Newark to apply for financial support from the state of Ohio 2024 Nature Work Grant.
This year for the Nature Works project, we're looking at, working in Newark Station to create a new park. And the allocations have not been released for the counties yet, but, it would be a 75-25, and the proposed plan is to put it towards a type of climbing wall facility.
Discussion, questions? Motion?
Offer motion.
Motion by Hauser, second by Lang. I mean, my question would be, we're going to apply for a grant to put a climbing wall up in a private enterprise location.
Well, Newark Station is gonna have a portion of that is gonna be either owned by the city or the city's gonna have a non-revocable 15-year lease.
Okay.
Doug, the side of the old Westinghouse site,
Mm-hmm.
where the fire was at.
Right.
That property is gonna be leased or turned over to the city.
Okay.
And, we are proposing to put as Barbara says, a climbing wall, but it's a bouldering wall where you can climb up on top of the boulders. And we're proposing 3 of them, 3 different, climb up, climb down without ropes. That way it doesn't have to be manned. And then we'll put a pump track around there too. We're also, if you go across the bridge, we're proposing at some point to put in a parking lot there so people can come, park, walk across the bridge, use the climbing walls, use the pump track and go on. So it'll be another city park. We're just piecing it together now. And we want to use part of this grant to help offset the cost. It'll be one of the parks that I don't want to use like pickleball courts, but where we went out and raised all the money. We're gonna go out to the community to raise a fair amount of money for this. But it'll be a city control. If you look at, say, the skate park on Ever, the city doesn't actually own the land, the school board owns the land, but that's a city park on that land.
Okay.
But this is a new style of park we're proposing to put together.
Liability?
No, our liability is good. As a matter of fact, we had our insurance guy up in Florence Hill. And we just got an excellent rating on the safety of Florence Hill. You think about that extreme mountain bike ride, which I'm not gonna do. And, I challenge anybody who can do it, but anyways, they're very happy with the safety of the park, the signage, the care and the maintenance. It'll be a similar thing, climb at your own risk, sign a waiver, just climb at your own risk. And there'll be a soft padding around it, similar to what you see at Rotary Park over there, so if you do fall, you do that, but if you get into ropes, then you get into employees manning.
Correct.
And there's a similar park in Columbus, and the name's escaping. It's the side of the Metro. My partner in crime reminded me of the name, but the side of Metro Park. So that's what we're proposing, and we're in the beginning stages of identifying if it's a lease, similar like what we have at Everett, or if it's an ownership.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify, so you said the way that we're intending to set this up, it wouldn't need to be manned.
That's
You
correct.
mentioned climbing at your own risk, needing to sign a waiver.
Yep.
That to me says somebody's gonna be collecting that waiver
That's correct.
or limiting access to the facility.
That's correct. It might be a similar thing to where you could sign up on a website and to sign those. That's what we're going to say at the dive area up there at TJ Evans Park. It's what we're going to for fishing permits where you can sign up online. So we hope to continually move towards that direction.
So if you did like an online thing, somebody would still need to go check, make sure that people are doing it or
Well,
signing the waivers, right?
similar to like the dive park, we randomly check, yes. Okay,
Yeah.
will it need to be manned full-time? No.
Gotcha.
And that seems to be okay with the insurance company. That's what we do at Horns Hill too. We ask people to sign.
And then presumably there'd be ways to lock it up, shut it down during off hours or.
Yes.
Just one clarification question. So will Newark Station still own the land for leasing from there? You mentioned being turned over to the city. I
Well, we're in these discussions now, whether it will be a perpetual lease or if it will be a title transfer. And we're working those details out now, like at Everett Park, the school board owns the land, we have a perpetual lease.
Any further questions and or discussion? Yes.
It's back 237 Violet Court there. Heard some mention comparing it to Rotary Park, the situation there, and, I'm sorry, okay,
The soft padding, that.
okay. All right, one of the things that, I wonder about is what sort of maintenance there's going to be for keeping this safe. You know, I heard Rotary Park, I like Rotary Park a lot, take your grandson there, you know, pretty regularly. And, but there are some facilities, there are some of the, toys and other, activities there that are frankly broken, and I fear they're not safe. It doesn't seem to be a lot of work on maintaining that, and I realize that's not a city park. But I do want something that's climbing the wall to be maintained so that it's safe for everyone. I want to make sure that that happens. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Michelle Boland Smith, 237 Violet Court. Usually, when schools have climbing walls and stores and that sort of thing, they keep them supervised. And I can't imagine, in this particular location, that it would be well supervised and maintained. So, I just don't think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Thank you. With that, this finance committee meeting stands adjourned. Next up is service.
Yes, thank you. It's just.
What's good, brother? Or you going?
I'm just gonna direct it out.
You know.
Isn't that something? It's the.
All right, we'll call the service committee meeting to order. Those present are myself, Raph, Langen for Dustin Neely, O'Clock, Blind, and Chu. Up first. Resolution 24-27, a resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service for the city of Newark, Ohio, to enter into a cooperative agreement with Josh Greer, Eliana Greer, I apologize if I mispronounced that. Haley Hughes, inspection director, subject to the appropriation of funds for construction of a drainage system. Mr. Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the back of the 729 Country Club property, water collects there. It stands there for several days after that. It's a low spot in a series of homes in that area. There is a drain pipe that comes out to that area that was, put there, pick a number, 15 years ago. And with the additional rains, additional water does go out that drain pipe and on the back of Grove's property. What we're proposing to do is to pick up an attachment to that pipe, bury it and take it out to the street, which will eliminate the flooding in the back of Grove's property.
Okay.
And I'm here tonight because we're gonna do something a little different, along with the agreement. We're gonna ask the property owners to sign that agreement. And that the city is not gonna be responsible for the ongoing maintenance. We've done a few of these where I have to go up each year and clean out a basin or do this or do that. But as we move forward, we're gonna get release forms from,
Contract, if you will. With the
we're gonna get a
property.
contract, and we're gonna put it in the deed so that it is transferable to the new owners if the property changes title.
Okay. Questions from the committee?
Go ahead, sir.
I'll still let me things.
Oh, no.
So let me know if it was. Go ahead.
Director Rhodes, I just have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
So how do you determine if the city is gonna exercise this sort of goodwill that you're proposing in it?
There's a fair question. There's a stormwater committee, a group that gets together. And they go through all the requests and they put them in a priority and they look at them. 4 or 5 different people go out and look at them. They figure a simple fix, might be a dry well somewhere, might be a curb, might be something along those lines. And then they come up with a solution where they say, hey, wait a minute, this is not a city issue. And we do both.
So there's a process to apply for.
There's a complete process. It goes through Lindsay Bright and she has a stormwater committee group. They all get together. They talk about them and then they push them up.
And if I can follow up, sir, too.
Yeah, after mine,
Okay.
after mine. How many times have you gone through that process in the last year? And I know you're not gonna give me an exact number, but.
No, in the last year, there's 8. Okay, there's 8 times that we did this. The prior year, there was 3 bigger projects that we did that affected different property owners. So it's ongoing. But part of the stormwater utility, when it was put in, and I'm gonna get the year wrong, so I'll get that out there. Could have been 04, could have been 05, could have been 06. But it was done under the Bain administration. It was helped to clean the stormwater up, sitting water in the area, as well as sewer separations, which we've all seen the effects of that.
Yeah, my follow-up is, how much do you budget or do you plan on?
Great question. What we do is we leave an unappropriated balance in the stormwater fund. That unappropriated balance currently right now is 1,231,000. And we try to leave $500,000 plus in the unappropriated balance in case something big happens that we're there. This year, our big expenses were to buy a street sweeper, which is about 434,000. These are 2 smaller projects that we'll be citing for. We'll be moving other projects forward. And as we have properties, as we have stormwater problems that affect properties, we're gonna ask that the property owners sign off on the perpetual care, which means we'll come in front of you and say, gosh, here's the problem. This is what we want to do. We want to be able to exercise an easement agreement. We want to be able to exercise an agreement where the city's not responsible for perpetual care.
So that's the burning question that everybody wants to know the answer to. What does the street sweeper have to do with stormwater?
And cleans off the streets, cleans the berms.
A little louder so everybody can hear it, please. I'm sure it's an-
Cleans off the streets, cleans off the berms, keeps the grates clean of debris. And that's why you see us going around. It's part of our stormwater permit. It's a process we have to do.
So without cleaning out the streets, all that stuff washes down into the stormwater.
Yeah,
basins,
clogs up.
Clogs
the basins, clogs up the gutters.
That's what I like. Thank you.
Okay.
Did you have a question?
Well, you had a follow-up.
I think I
Did you have a
Okay,
question?
I did. I did, thank you. Yeah, is there an approximate, cost that
A little
you
over
determine?
A little over $5,000 each.
Okay, just for public,
Mr. Claus, do you have a question? I saw your hand, please.
Yeah, we got it, everything. So David, is the city responsible for causing this in some way from your point of view?
Well, I think that's determined through the committee that gets together, that, you know, there is some reasonable concern that something that the city did or when a subdivision was built. You gotta remember, a lot of these subdivisions were put in prior to the stormwater utility, prior to 2004. So some of these concerns, whether it's coming down a hill, coming down, you know, an area that was graded in the backyards, it comes to a point. Those are all things that are now considered when there's a new build put in, whereas in the past, there might not have been a consideration of it. As a matter of fact, on all the projects that come through the planning commission and everything, it's all about stormwater retention and how you're gonna get rid of your stormwater. To avert things like this in the future.
Saw that firsthand this spring and, or fall and sure got road.
Hey, listen, when it rains real hard, when it snows real hard, you guys are pretty easy when it comes to grass, but rain and snow too.
Any other questions from the committee members? Lang? Did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just thinking about, in the past, I don't recall seeing like the individual property owners' names in these, is it?
It's a first, John, and I think that, I think it all has to do with the easements that we need. Because we're gonna ask property owners for easements, because we're right there on their property. And, it's the maintenance agreement that we're asking the property owners to sign that will be put into their deeds. So I'll go back to the one on Stonewall that I go up to about twice a year through the street department that we clean out. We're trying to get out of the perpetual maintenance end of things, which costs the city money.
If I may. So I'm just trying to understand, because there seems to be an implication, we've done this in the past in another format.
I can take you to where we're done if you'd like to go.
What's that?
I can take you to the spots.
Yeah, and I guess I'm just trying to get to understand really the main difference between what we've done in the past and what we're doing here is the agreement with the property owners to have them assume the maintenance of
Yeah,
the
it's on
ongoing.
care, and further it's being put in the deed, so the property owner sells, it goes to the next property owner. So 10 years from now, they don't come back on us and say, you need to redo this.
So was this something that was initiated by the law director?
I can't honestly tell you how it got initiated, because it comes out of the committee runs stuff by the law director's office.
I'm speaking specifically of this format.
I can't speak for the law director's office,
Okay.
but it comes out of the committee, things are ran by the law director's office, recommendations are made, and these recommendations are, what were made, and we're following those recommendations. So,
I know the law director is here. Would you like to address this issue?
So what do you want to know? That's the way we recommended that the legislation be written.
Well,
Purpose of the
as we
legislation.
said, we have it,
We've never done this.
Yes, well, and this was brought to us with,
this law director,
sorry.
so we have not done this before. We've done projects before. We've never had it legislated. It's never come to council before.
Correct.
So I was wondering if you could address the reasoning for that and purpose of the legislation.
So what we were looking at doing, as Director Rhodes stated, is making sure that the city, after this project is completed, has no further liability in the matter. And so what we had property owners do is they actually had to have agreement between each other about how this is going to be maintained. Because the last thing we wanted was someone saying, well, that's not my fault, you know, you do this. And no, there's an agreement between property owners about how the future maintenance will be done. And then there's agreement between us and the property owners that we are not going to be liable for any further issues on that property.
Okay?
Yeah.
Sounds reasonable to me. Any questions? Yeah, Mr. Bob.
I'm sitting here looking at two,
It's all tight.
I'm sitting here looking at two quotes from Layton's that are $36,000 a piece.
Hold on there.
That's for the next.
This
No, you're in the wrong piece of legislation. It's the next piece. We're talking about a $5,000 bid from,
On the first one, almost.
from where?
Wilson's.
Yeah, Wilson's, yeah. I say 5,000, it's 5,000 and some change.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Lane.
Given the city's participation, is there any, bidding requirements?
Not under the 5,000. I mean, not under the 30, not 5,000. So now,
So we're required to get a bid at 35,000 or higher.
it's 30. Or is it
I
30
think it's 30.
30,000.
30,000.
Okay,
So if we, sorry,
that,
yeah, so if, so we were going above 30,000, then we wouldn't be able to just use the quote, we need to go out.
Well, and the next step after 30,000 is to go to Board of Control. And then that goes up to 75,000 if the Board of Control accepts it, then I can move forward. If the Board of Control declines it, then it goes out for bid. And anything over 75,000.
Well, 30,000 is the
Right.
initial,
But
To
up
require
to 75.
yeah.
Yeah,
If
we go
it's
to
more
board-
than that, but less than 75.
Yeah.
For public improvements, materials, cost, labor.
And if it's,
so anything over 75,000, you don't have the option, you must get a bid.
well, I must get a bid or come to council and ask you to allow me to waive the bidding.
Okay.
And then you guys determine whether or not it's sufficient to waive the bidding or not.
Okay.
So ultimately, yes, we bid it out over 75, or we ask you to give us the authority to enter into the contract. And there are times where that makes sense.
Okay.
And actually, those levels we just raised at the state, and I think we need to do a charter review to come in line with those. Our next charter review will do that.
That topic for another time. Any other questions from the committee? Any questions, comments from the audience? Mr. Marmy?
Yeah, I'd like further clarification of the purpose of the resolution. I'm looking at the whereas. And so why is it required we have a resolution if what's the reasoning for the need for a resolution? From council?
Well, because we're entering into contract with property owners. So we are actually going in, so they, in order for us to even do this, and this is my understanding, is that they entered into an agreement amongst themselves to say, once this is fixed, this is how this is how it's going to be handled. We are part of entering into that contract with them to say that we're going to contribute this much to this fix. After that is done, the city is no longer liable and they have to agree to that before we'll do it. So we're actually entering into contract with them.
And that is exhibit A in the legislation, is it not?
Yes, I believe that contract's in there. Yes.
Are you further?
No.
But. Maybe an address first.
237 Violet Court, name is Rochelle Boland Smith. I was wondering why we're considering doing this as a non-bid contract.
I think we just went over that.
I didn't know.
Anything?
I had trouble hearing.
Anything under $30,000, we don't have to get a bid on. If it's 30,000 to 75,000, the controlling board,
Board of Control.
Board of Control has the option of waiving bid requirements if they should see so fit.
Okay, so,
Anything over 75,000, the only board that could waive the competitive bidding requirement is council itself.
okay, so this is expected to be under 75.
Yeah, there's a bid in here that's just over $5,000.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? Mr. Lang?
Thank you. Just operationally then, so if we do go forward with the agreement, then we need an appropriation, right? For the,
Now, that would come out of the unappropriated balance of the storm.
Other questions or comments? Good.
Just for clarification, Director Rhodes, so if the money is coming out of the unappropriated balance of the, stormwater fund, then the question before us is really just simply whether you can enter into a contract with these people.
That's correct. That is the question. And the reason for the contract is they're getting easement and the city's gonna get out of the business of perpetual care.
Which sounds like a good idea, but I see. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, so I guess two quick comments. You know, at the end of the day, the money is still gonna be a city expense. I'm not 100%. I think I still have some questions and law director, I may need to follow up with you on some things.
Okay.
I'm in support of sending this on to full council, but I still have some questions I need to answer before I can support this going through beyond that.
Was that a motion I heard?
No.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion. I'll make a motion to forward it on council for further consideration. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Lang. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Then I'll move forward with a vote of 4-1. Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Up next. Same debate. Resolution 24-28, a resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service for the City of Newark, Ohio to enter into cooperative agreements with Jason Dale Honinger, Cheryl Lynn Honinger, and various property owners on Stonewall Drive, subject to the appropriation of funds for construction of graded system.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Stonewall subdivision was put in prior to Stormwater. And in today's world, if that subdivision is going to be put in, there would be a stormwater management plan put in with that subdivision. Stonewall goes up, there's a hill that comes down. When it rains hard, all the water comes down the hill. Comes out of people's gutters and it collects down the hill and washes out properties down there on Johnson Lane. What we're proposing is putting in some catch basins to catch that water and channel it out to John. And that's what this does.
Good. And I see there is in the legislation, it says specifically $36,745.
That's correct. This will be one that will have to go in front of the board of control.
Okay. I believe I heard Mr. Cost mention that there was multiple bids. Is that correct?
For some reason I have two.
What they did is they took different bids from different companies, and I can't speak to those bids. And they felt that the one that they presented tonight was the best bid.
Okay.
I'm not ready to make that argument tonight on why it was the best bid, but that's not making fun of it.
Maybe it's just a mistake in my packet, but I have two sheets and wait. I don't know if that should just be one or two different things.
Well, I think I have a question for the law director.
Yeah.
I see cooperative agreement exhibit A and a cooperative agreement exhibit B, and I apologize for not memorizing these, so tell me that there was two and two. Why? The purpose of two,
I don't have them in front of me right now.
like mine?
And what's your question?
So in the previous legislation, we had a cooperative agreement exhibit A.
Mhm.
That was the agreement with us and the property owners, saying that we had no responsibility once the project was completed.
Mhm.
Here we have a cooperative exhibit A, saying that,
Yes,
and then we have a cooperative exhibit B, cooperative agreement exhibit B. My question to you is, I apologize for not reading ahead of time, and I don't, the lawyers speak quickly. So I was hoping to shed some light on why there's cooperative exhibit. Cooperative agreement exhibit A and cooperative.
oh, I do know. Yes, because at the time that this legislation was put together, we did not have, the cooperative agreement. There were other property owners at the time. That's why there's blanks right there in exhibit B. And those need to be filled in with, who all is going to be involved in the cooperative agreement.
That would be an uphill residence.
I'll be up, you know, I'm saying, keep my mouth shut and say, are there any questions or comments from Mr. Fox?
I think I'm in agreement with, Mr. Lang. I think I'm gonna need more information. If I can really say, I understand that before we spend $5,000 on one and $36,000 on another to justify this, that I feel right about it. Thank you.
Mr.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Director, I was just curious, in this instance, on this legislation, you're saying this is a remedy for an entire neighborhood? Is that correct?
This is a remedy to where the water is running off the backs of several properties and headed towards one property. We can collect it. We're being allowed to collect the water on the back of one property that's coming from several properties. That's why there's different drains.
And how are you collecting that water?
Through a drain, and then the drain goes into.
Catch basin?
Yeah, catch basin.
Is that what this project is installing that catch basin to drain?
To catch the water coming off the hill, and then it'll go on down through a drain.
To a stormwater?
To the bottom of the roadway, yes.
Okay.
So it takes the water off the hill to the right.
Okay.
And I would, honestly, I would encourage all council members to travel. And if you want, I'll take it on to meet you at both sites, show you how the committee came up with the decision to go after this. We've got, 2 readings, you got 4 weeks, got to run. But I'd be happy to call each and every one of you and say, hey, let's go visit these sites and let me explain why.
Yeah, I understand perfectly the need to get more information on this. I myself would want to do that, but like, as you say, there is from this date, 4 weeks before we vote on a final.
I'll call all 10 members of council, make 7 trips, jump in. No, I'm happy to.
That's what you thought.
Complete transparency, I live on Krebs Court, so I don't know if this is directly onto my property or not, so if I need to abstain.
No, you do not. You do not.
You're saying it's not affecting any properties on Crest?
I mean, because that
It's
same
not
thing
affecting
happened to
bills.
us.
It's not affecting bills.
That happened to us too, where the
Yeah.
water rushes down off of.
That's not been reported to stormwater.
Oh, okay.
That's why it hadn't been considered.
I see.
Stormwater is kind of a complaint driven, like property maintenance. It gets in, these issues have been out here. If I said 3 years, it could have been 6 years.
I see. Okay, just, I thought I heard say something.
Mr. Lang?
Thank you. I just wanted to go back to the blanks in exhibit B. Sorry, you can come back up on record. Do we have all of the addresses identified? And at what point, if not, at what point will we, I guess, I don't feel comfortable, this gets the full council, we still have blanks in here. I just would like to just have a timeline for what we'll have it.
Lindsay's identified issues. Okay, I'll ask her to put it into it.
So will that need to be amended? An amendment to this legislation that,
I think it's
Because we're not
fill
gonna
in blank. I don't think it's changing the legislation per se to where it's being amended, they're being added. If you would like to have it as an amendment, I can certainly make it an amendment.
Mr. Chair.
yes,
I just wanted to clarify, is it just one other property, or is there potentially several other, and exhibit B is just the form for all of those other?
No, there's a couple of properties where this water runs off too.
Gotcha, so it could potentially be
This-
exhibits B, C, D.
This does protect another property there also that's getting water. And water comes down a hill, the road's a hill, and turns to the left, turns to the right. What we're doing is capturing it to stop it from turning.
Yeah, I want to see that.
I'll take that on.
Yeah.
I'm team reach out to all 10 of you. If you want to go for a ride, we'll go for a ride.
Absolutely.
Brad's buying lunch, but he didn't know.
The lunches always smell fun. Any other questions from the committee? Do you have any questions from the audience?
Yeah.
Mr. Brown?
Just a comment and just to kind of piggyback on something that Director Rhodes indicated. Back in the early 2000s, when we did invoke the stormwater utility, Roger Loomis and a lot of folks put their heads together. We knew the EPA mandates of the sewer separation project was just around the corner. We got ahead of it. We started with low fees with our stormwater utility, so then it wouldn't be a huge burden on taxpayers. Did a phenomenal job with it. We've done such a great job with it that we're able to do additional projects. And I think our stormwater utility has just been phenomenal for the city of Newark. And it was because of the likes of Roger Loomis who got way ahead of it and got us started and everything. And projects like this, it was, for me, this is just new with the legislation. It makes sense now why we have the legislation, because we've never done the agreements, but it also makes sense that we need agreements in the future, because I think that's great that we aren't going to maintain those anymore. So just kind of give a little bit of history on that and the great job that the folks at the stormwater utility did, and what they do with the money.
You know, be in touch with all.
Any other questions from the audience or the committee? Will entertain a motion. Motion by Lang,
Second.
seconded by Blind. All those in favor of passing this on to council, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? That'll pass with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Rhodes, and thank you, Mr. Law Director. Appreciate your help and your input and clarification. That concludes the Service Committee meeting for this evening. We'll stand adjourned. Up next will be capital improvements. Vice Chair. Yes.
That's why I thought one for each of them. That's why.
It was confusing because there's.
I